Just another preseason matchup, right? No Luka, no playoff pressure, no legacy on the line. But for those who actually watched it, for the basketball sickos like us, this game wasn't meaningless. It was a sign of what's coming. On one side, the Oklahoma City Thunder, the blueprint of a modern rebuild. Drafted smart, developed smarter, a locker room full of hungry dogs and zero egos. On the other, the Dallas Mavericks, a team trying to prove that lightning can strike twice, that Luka won't have to do it alone forever. And right in the middle of all that, a teenager, Cooper Flagg, throwing himself into a grown man league like he belongs there. From the first possession, the kid set the tone. Weak side rotation, perfect timing, bang. He pinned Williams's layup on the glass like it was personal. The crowd gasped. A D pointed at him like, "All right, Rook, I see you." That block wasn't just a highlight, it was a statement. Welcome to the future of Dallas basketball. Act 1. The context. Why this game mattered. See, here's the thing. Preseason basketball isn't supposed to matter, but context makes it matter. For Oklahoma City, this game was about sharpening what's already elite. They just came off one of their best regular seasons in franchise history. Top seed potential, top defense, and a core that's all under 26. For Dallas, it's different. They've been living in a weird timeline, a superstar who might be the best offensive player on the planet, but surrounded by constant change. They've tried veterans, shooters, rim runners, ISO scorers, you name it. Nothing has quite clicked long-term. So when the Mavericks landed Cooper Flagg, it wasn't just about another rookie. It was about hope. The kind of hope that says, maybe this is the guy who helps Luka build a dynasty. And when the schedule said Mavs versus Thunder, it wasn't a coincidence. It was a mirror, showing Dallas exactly what they could become if they get this rebuild right. Act 2. The game. The first glimpse of the future. From the opening tip, you could feel something different. Dallas moved like a team that had purpose. AD started it off with a classic two-man action. Screen, slip, lob, dunk. Vintage stuff. But OKC, being OKC, responded immediately. Barnhizer, slick crossover, splits two defenders, lays it in like he's been doing it all summer. Then came the first taste of Dallas chemistry. Klay Thompson, AD, D'Lo, Flagg, and Lively. 5 guys who actually looked like they practiced together. Ball swings around the perimeter like a hot potato. D'Lo drives, kicks to Klay, extra pass to Flagg. Flagg attacks the closeout, draws the defense, and dishes it to Lively for the jam. Bang, team basketball. That's not Luka ball, that's system ball, and that's what had fans' eyes widening. Because for years, the Mavericks' offense was Luka or bust. But this was fluid. This was beautiful. A D, normally the one finishing plays, was suddenly facilitating. Thompson, instead of hunting threes, was drawing defenders and creating motion. Even the role guys, Christie Powell, were reading and reacting instead of just waiting. But every time Dallas tried to run away with it, OKC reminded them why they're that team. Coach Daigneault started calling those signature Thunder sets. Double back screens, weak side actions, misdirections. Dallas switched, a little too casually. Powell got caught in space. Boom. Isaiah Joe splashes a corner 3, then another. Momentum flipped like a switch. OKC looked like the machine they've built. 5 guys who move as one, relentless, confident, annoyingly efficient. Ousmane Dieng knocks down a triple. Jalen Williams threads a pass through 2 defenders. And suddenly, OKC takes the lead. But then, the rookie woke up again. Cooper Flagg's first real moment. Flagg catches the ball on the wing. Pump fake. 1 dribble. Drives baseline. 3 defenders collapse. He hangs, then whips a pass behind the back to PJ Washington cutting in. And 1. Crowd explodes. The bench stands. Jason Kidd just smirks. That's the kind of play that doesn't show up on a stat sheet but changes how a locker room looks at you. And from that point on, the Mavs offense had rhythm. Christie cuts back door for an easy 2. Klay finds his range from the corner. D'Lo's eye fake pass opens a lane for Lively to hammer it home. Meanwhile, Cooper starts playing chess. He's pulling up for threes when OKC goes under. He's attacking closeouts when they switch. He's directing traffic like a vet. In one sequence, he snags a rebound, pushes the pace, and hits a pull-up three in rhythm. Swish. And the announcer goes, "The kid just came alive." By halftime, Dallas was up 26, not because they were shooting lights out, but because they looked organized. They looked hungry, and somewhere in that OKC locker room, you could feel the Thunder thinking, all right, they might actually be a problem soon. Act 3, OKC's counterpunch. Here's the thing about the Thunder. They don't stay down long. Their entire identity is built on response. You hit them once, they hit you twice. Coming out of halftime, Jalen Williams started cooking. Smooth mid-range jumper, step back three, then a dime to Usman for another corner bucket. Meanwhile, AD gets lazy on a rotation. Jalen spots it, punishes it. That's the difference between a seasoned system and a developing one. OKC doesn't waste mistakes. But Dallas wasn't folding either. PJ Washington cleared out the side, used a dribble handoff with Powell, and found Hardy open on the wing for three. He missed it, but Powell, the vet, comes flying in, grabs the offensive board, kicks it out again, and this time Hardy cashes it. Little plays, winning plays. Then came Musa Cisse, the kind of dude who plays like he's got something to prove every second. 1 block, 2 blocks, turns defense into instant offense. By this point, you could tell Dallas had something special brewing. Energy. Every player on the floor was invested. Even the young guys, Christie, Hardy, Flagg. They weren't just trying to get theirs. They were trying to make the right play. That's not something you teach overnight. That's culture. And that's what OKC built their entire team on. Culture, consistency, chemistry. Dallas, they're trying to get there. And this game, this preseason, meaningless on paper game, was the first glimpse that they might. Act 4. What Cooper Flagg showed the world. Let's pause for a second, because this is bigger than one stat line. Cooper Flagg didn't dominate the scoreboard. He didn't need to. What he showed was command. That unteachable poise that says, I've been here before, even when you haven't. He reads plays 2 seconds ahead. He defends like he actually enjoys it. And when things get messy, he doesn't panic, he processes. That's what separates stars from role players. And that's what makes this kid terrifying. Watch his eyes after every possession, scanning the floor, pointing, talking. He's not waiting for orders, he's leading. And when you mix that with Luka Doncic, a generational passer who's been begging for a teammate who sees the game the same way, you start to realize why this debut mattered so much. It wasn't just about athleticism, it was about alignment. For years, Luka's been surrounded by talented scorers who didn't quite think the game at his level. Cooper might be the first who does. And when that kind of synergy happens, when the genius finally finds another mind that speaks the same basketball language, that's when dynasties begin. Act 5. The bigger picture. Mavs versus OKC equals old versus new. Let's zoom out. This wasn't just Dallas versus Oklahoma. This was blueprint versus blueprint. OKC, the small market miracle. They drafted right, stayed patient, built a system that prioritizes development over headlines. Every player knows their role. Every possession has purpose. Dallas, the team that always chases the big move. They've lived in chaos for years, but maybe, just maybe, they've found balance. Watching Flagg next to AD and Clay, it felt like the pieces finally fit. For once, Dallas didn't look like 5 strangers sharing the floor. They looked like a team. And that's exactly how OKC became what they are. The Thunder are the league's quiet success story. Built from the ground up, no shortcuts. When you play them, you're not just facing talent, you're facing continuity. That's what this game symbolized. Dallas catching a glimpse of what they could be, if they stay the course. Act 6. The fourth quarter, holding the line. Even as OKC's bench tried to mount a comeback, Dallas never really lost control. Nembhard checked in and immediately hit a deep 3. Cleveland came in with energy, grabbed offensive boards, hit his corner shots, and screamed, "Let's go," like it was Game 7. Every possession had intention, every rotation had purpose. OKC cut the lead to 13 at one point, but then Hardy hit them with a step-back 3 that made the arena buzz. Powell blocked a shot on the next possession. Transition. Cleveland throws a lob, dunk, and that was the dagger. Dallas closed it out, 106-89. No Luka, no Kyrie, just a bunch of guys who believed in the system, and a rookie who made it all look effortless. Act 7. Symbolism. Why this matters now. Let's get real for a second. Why does any of this matter? Because every era starts with a moment like this. For OKC, it was those early Westbrook KD Harden games that told you something was brewing. For the Warriors, it was a random 2013 preseason where you realized their ball movement was different. And for Dallas, this might be that spark. The night where everyone saw a kid wearing number 5, blocking shots, dropping dimes, and thinking, hold on, we might have something here. And if you're Luka Doncic sitting courtside watching that unfold, you're smiling because you finally see what you've been missing, a running mate who gets it. Act 8, what OKC reminded everyone. But let's not forget, OKC isn't going anywhere. They didn't lose this game because they're bad. They lost because preseason doesn't mean anything to them. They're a machine. And like every machine, sometimes it runs cool to conserve energy before the real work starts. Shea wasn't even on the floor. Chet played limited minutes. Half their offense was G League call-ups, and they still made Dallas work for it. That's what championship DNA looks like. It's not about rings yet, it's about habits. Every OKC player defends, every OKC player cuts, every OKC player moves like they actually care. And that's the bar Dallas has to reach. So while Flag might be the future, OKC is the reminder that talent isn't enough. You need identity, you need time. Act 9. The takeaway. Mavs are building something. Here's the bottom line. The Mavericks are finally building something sustainable. No more patchwork rosters. No more chasing veterans who don't fit Luka's timeline. This new generation, Flag, Hardy, Lively, they're built to grow together. You can already see the vision forming. Luka running the half-court offense. Flag as the switchable wing who defends, passes, and finishes. Lively anchoring the paint. AD and Klay providing veteran IQ and spacing. That's a blueprint that can actually scale. And that's what made this game feel like more than preseason. It was a preview, a cinematic trailer of what Dallas might become if they stay patient and play the long game. Because the Mavericks haven't had an identity since Dirk retired. But for the first time in years, it feels like they might be finding one. Act 10. The message to the league. Every season has one of these moments. A quiet night in October where no one's really paying attention and yet something shifts. That's what Mavs versus Thunder was. A warning shot. Not because Dallas is suddenly a contender, but because they finally look like a cohesive unit built for the modern game. Cooper Flag's first block? That was a symbol. The kid literally stopped a shot before it reached the rim, and figuratively announced that Dallas won't be pushed around anymore. And as the Mavs bench exploded, as the crowd rose, as the camera panned to Luka smirking courtside, you could feel it. Something's changing in Dallas. Outro, the GOAT monologue. So what did we really witness? A rookie's first impression? Sure. But also a glimpse of the next decade of Western Conference basketball. Because in that one game, the future met the standard. Cooper Flag versus OKC's culture, potential versus proof. And both sides walked away knowing they'll see each other again when it really counts. Dallas fans, you've been waiting years for a reason to believe again. You might have just found it. Thunder fans, don't worry, your time is still now. You're the bar everyone's chasing. But the next time these two teams meet, it won't feel like a preseason game. It'll feel like the beginning of something bigger. Until then, enjoy the calm before the storm. Because the West just got a little scarier.